Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Michelle if you are new here, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how we created this gorgeous pink and nude lips on my beautiful model Sophia. So without further ado, let us get into it. I started off with a Garnier micellar water to just clean off any debris on her face, and then I went in with the foundation shades that I thought would match her skin color. She does have a little bit of hyperpigmentation on her lower jawline, so I wanted to see which two foundations would best suit her. So the one foundation for her the upper part of her face, and then a darker foundation for the lower part of her face. So I chose my foundations. The foundations that we're using is actually Divas Cosmetics, and then I went in with a primer spray. This one is really good for before makeup, but I don't really recommend it to substitute with actual primer completely. And then I'm going in with a Davis pencil. This one is in number 40, and then I'm just outlining her brows because I wanted to create a natural but still beautiful and full brow, because she does have full eyebrows. And then I'm just using the tip of my pencil to just comb through, and then my spoolie to just comb through the product to make sure that there is no product that is on one part of the eyebrow more than it is on the other part of the eyebrow. Next, I'm going in with concealer to clean up her eyebrows. The concealer that I'm using is Illegal in the shade Chestnut, and I did use a slightly darker one at the beginning part of her eyebrow just so you can have that mesh of color. And I am using the Eyebrow Cosmetics concealer brush just to clean up. It is a really beautiful brush. I highly recommend it if you are a makeup artist or if you do makeup on yourself often. It's very flat and it makes it so easy to clean up your eyebrows. I went ahead and I blended out the concealer that we had used, and then now I'm going in with the Ben Nye Clown White. This is actually one of my first times using it because it's a fairly new product to me, but it's so beautiful and it adheres to color so well. The reason I went in with this instead of a concealer was because we were gonna go in with color later on, and I wanted the pigment of the color to really come out and show. So if you're looking to put color and not a nude look, then I do recommend either going in with a really light concealer or an eyeshadow base that is light. And if you're going in with just a slightly nude look, then the concealer that is usually used is okay, or the same color. The eyeshadow palette that I'm using is the Reina Beauty Maridadi palette. This has become a staple in my kit and it's so beautiful. The colors blending so well and are really pigmented. And I'm also using this blending brush to just buff out that product. I did go in with a darker brown just because I wanted really the smoky eye at the end to be a little more intense before I went in with the pink. And again, I'm using an eyeshadow brush just to blend the two together. And again, whenever you're using eyeshadow or blending out eyeshadow, make sure to alternate and go in with each one color and then another, and then back to the original color, just so you can make sure that the original color doesn't lose its intensity and every color is seen. I did go in again now with a flat but fluffy brush, and then I am applying this beautiful pink shadow onto her lid area. And for matte shadows, you want to make sure that you're pressing in the product as opposed to swiping it as you would do with shimmery shades. That ensures that the color stays in place and that the pigment is seen well. Next up, I'm going in with this gorgeous pink pigment, but this didn't really come out the way I wanted just because she has hooded eyes. So I did end up applying it without any adhesive, and I think that was where the problem was. Not that it really interfered with the look, but it really didn't hold on to that place properly, because every time she kept opening her eye, it would go onto her lash line. So next time I would probably go in with an eyelash adhesive instead of just going in directly with the pigment. I'm going in now with a disposable mascara wand and applying some mascara, and then I did go in with some falsies and applied them with my tweezers. If you're not a pro at applying lashes, you want to make sure you really take your time, apply the ends first and then come and apply the middle. And before the product dries down completely, you want to make sure you just adjust it to your preference and that it sits properly on your eye. And especially if you're doing it on a client, always ensure you tell them to open their eyes just to make sure that it's not poking them anywhere and that it feels super comfortable. Also over here, I was removing the extra lash glue that had stuck to her lower lash line, and just making sure that the eyelashes felt comfortable and light. Next, I'm going in with the Omari Code featuring Brega Hydrate Moisturizer. This does act as a moisturizer and a primer in one. But the one thing that I've noticed with this product is that it sometimes creases a little bit, especially on the smile lines. So you want to make sure you go in with either a pore filling primer or a mattifying primer just to make sure that you keep the smile lines at bay. Now I'm going in with a liquid illuminator. This one is by Luxuriant Beauty, and a tip when applying liquid highlighter is don't apply it after your primer, apply it after your moisturizer before you apply your primer, because it really shows up well. Sometimes when you apply it after the primer, it does tend to water down the effect. So if you really want it to pop nicely, then after moisturizer instead of after primer. And then I am using my fingers to just warm up the product and to distribute it all on her areas that I would normally highlight. And then now I'm going in with the Divas Cosmetics foundation. I did go in with two different shades, although I didn't show it in this video. I went in with a lighter shade on her upper face area and then a slightly darker one to match her neck on her jawline and below. And whenever you have a foundation that really tends to dry down quickly, I would recommend going in with a brush first just to distribute a little bit of the product, and then going in with a damp beauty blender to spread it all out and to give it that nice and airbrushed look. Next up is the concealer that we are using. I'm using the same concealer in Chestnut. That's the same one that I used to conceal her eyebrows. And I'm applying a very little amount of it. Reason being, I don't want to have any creases underneath her eyes or in the areas that she would normally crease because of the concealer moving around. So I'm applying a very small amount of it, and I am using my brush to apply it, and then I'm going to let it dry down just for a little bit so it can have more coverage before I go in and blend it out. I'm going in with a cream contour on her nose. I don't like cream contour really being too harsh, especially for the nose. I like it looking so natural, so I first went in with a brush and then later on with a sponge to blend it out and to bring out the natural shadows without it looking excessively contoured. And by the way, if you notice, I'm using one beauty blender for the whole video. I just use different sides of it. So I use a different side for the foundation, and I use a different side for the concealer and a different side for the contour. This is just to show you that you don't need 500 brushes and 500 beauty blenders to be able to achieve a beautiful look. You can just work with the one that you have. Now I'm going in and setting all the areas that we have applied concealer with some setting powder. The one that I'm using is Sacha Buttercup, and this setting powder works for a lot of the skin tones. The one that I have is a slightly neutral tone. It's not the extremely yellow one like the banana powder. If you get the yellow one, then you have a bit of a limitation to only use it for yellow undertones. So I do recommend, if you're working on a lot of clients, then to get a neutral setting powder that can work for a wide array of skin tones, and also one that doesn't really give you color, because this one will just do its job but it won't really add any color to the product that you have already applied onto it. And to set the rest of her face, I'm using the V Beauty powder palette, and I'm using these two shades at the bottom, and I'm using this brush from Laya Bella. And the thing with me, I really like to apply really little product. So as you can see, I'm not applying too much, and I'm using a dabbing motion here and there just to make sure that I'm setting, but I'm not over powdering the face, just because she doesn't have oily skin on the outskirts of her face. So I'm pushing the product in and also blending it a little bit on her neck area. I did go off camera again and also used the last shade just as a contour, just to set the areas that we had already contoured with the cream. And I am again using a light powder just to dust away the setting powder that we had initially applied. You can decide to either dust away, or if you want even more coverage or more absorption of the oils, then I would recommend going in with your beauty blender and pushing that product in. But that's assuming that you are not baking. If you are baking, then the powder becomes too much to be absorbed into the skin or to sit on the skin. So if you want to blend setting powder into your skin, I recommend putting a really light layer on it. So I'm just using my brush to dust away the product, and then any remaining residue, I'm going to blend it into the skin. Next up is blush, to just really bring in that color. I am using an orangish blush. I usually do recommend for darker skin tones to use either a reddish or an orange blush, but more often I usually tend to go for the orange blush because I usually feel like it seems and looks more natural as opposed to the red blush. And I'm using the same brush just to apply that. And then now I'm going in with my Illegal Kajal just to line her waterline. And then later on I'm going to go in with a light pink shadow just to set that. Whenever you go in with your pencil after your product, you have to make sure that you put an eyeshadow, and especially a matte one, underneath, just so it can't move, and especially if it doesn't dry down matte. Next up, I am using, yes, a primer spray, not a setting spray. I do like to give my clients or my models extra layers of setting spray. So the first spray that I went in with is the same primer spray that we used at the beginning, and then later on I'm going to come in with a setting spray, but it's going to be shimmery, just to bring back that glow. Now I'm going in with a gorgeous ombre lip. This is going to be a nude one. The reason I didn't show you guys the company where it's from is because I'm really not sure that they still produce this. I think they discontinued this particular series of lipsticks, but if you're interested, they are PS, and I got them from Beauty and Beyond 254 a little while back. And I'm using a disposable wand to outline, number one, first the darker brown on the outline, and then the mid brown between that, and then on the inner corner of, or rather the inner part of her lips, I'm going to be using the lightest shade of brown. It's almost like a nude, and then she's just passing her lips together just to blend it all out. And the last thing we're doing is going in with a shimmer spray before our highlighter. I do like doing the shimmer and setting everything before I go in with a highlighter, because I usually feel like the highlighter usually looks a little more natural, and also it glows some more. And when you're using shimmer spray, I do recommend covering the eyes, even when you're using other sprays. If your eyes are matte, you want to cover them, because some formulations of setting sprays do have a little bit of oil. So when that water and oil gets into contact with your eyeshadow, it looks patchy and it just looks bad, and it's really hard to do something about it. So now I'm going in with a highlighter. I don't remember what this particular one was called, but it's from Shop with Talia. You guys know I get a lot of my makeup products from her, and I'm just outlining, or highlighting rather, the high points of her face and anywhere that I want glow. And that is the finished look, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed and learned something. You should definitely expect more tutorials and more client transformations of different skin tones in the coming weeks. And thank you so much for watching up till this point. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And until next time, bye guys.